Glixen, My Blue Heaven, guitar tabs, and guitar lesson. So there's just a standard tuning here, E, A, D, G, B, E, and kind of two guitars happening. Initially we start, with kind of a clean tone, but you can get some like reverb on there, maybe a little bit of delay, all that fun stuff. And we're just strumming through 4 chords, just kind of single strums and letting them ring. The initial one would be, I guess it's like an A6 without the third. Pretty basic here, just to open A string, do a 7D, 9G, 7B. Alright, and there'll be a lot of like similar shared notes going on between these chords. So we shift from that to this B sus13, so just basically bar the 7s on the E, A, and D, and then we'll do 9s on the G and B. Alright, next we'll take that same shape, slide it down here to the 2nd fret, so we have 2s with the 4s. It's like a F sharp sus13, so same deal. And then we move to a G sharp minor 7, so just bar the 4s down to like the B string and then throw in like a 6 on the A, so we'll have the 4 on the D, G, B under that. Okay, a lot of kind of shared notes going on, so we're just cycling through those 4 chords through the very beginning there. And then eventually a second guitar comes in and just kind of plays over the top of that first guitar progression. And it's just kind of doing some like single strums of this same chord to start. And this goes on for a good 8 measures or so. And basically we want this chord with the 7A. You can skip the D, just kind of leave it muted. Do a 9G, 9B, you can throw in an open high E there. So just kind of some E chord over the top of all this here. And it's just strumming away on that for a good while. Then it switches up a little bit. It'll come up higher now. It'll go 11G with the 9 on the B, open high E, and just 4 strums on that. Shifts the 9B to a 10, keeps the 11G open high E, same deal, 4 of those. Slides down to the 8G, 7B, open high E, stays on that for about 8 strums. Alright, goes through the whole thing again up until, we get through that first set of the 8-7 with the open. But then at this point you can kind of kick on some of the overdrive and do this kind of little end section where we just stay in that same chord basically, and we're just doing the 7B, and then we're going to pull that 8 on the G off to 6, and then hit like a 6 on the D. Something like that, just to end out that long intro section. And at that point, we'll have the first guitar basically doing 2 progressions. The first one, we start here with this big B power chord, so you can throw in the F sharp on top. So we're just doing 2 on the E and A, 4 on the D and G there. And it's just kind of shuffle strumming through it, like. Okay, moves it up to the G sharp power chord at the 4 E, 6 on the A and D. Just kind of hits it once, hangs out there for a moment. Little transitional chord. And then just drop down a set for the C sharp power chord at the 4 A, 6 on the D and G, but you can keep that 4 on the low E just for extra low octave. And we hang out there, just strum that out, kind of shuffle it out for a measure. To an A power chord, so 5 E, 7 on the A and D. Hang out there for almost 2 measures. But at that last beat or so, just drop down and hit a few strums of the F sharp 5 at the 2 E, 4 on the A and D. Okay, and it just cycles through that progression a couple times, and then over the top of it, a second guitar is just doing some lead stuff, and nothing too wild. We'll be here on the G string. We go 6 fret here, go 6, 6, couple 6s, 8, and then repeat it again, and then you can do a little dive with a tremolo or whammy bar that you have when you hit that 8, Okay, just playing around with that. And that's happening over the top of that first progression. And then after we go through that a couple times, we shift up the progression. So we'll start now at the A power chord at the 5 with the 7s here, shuffle through it about a measure, down to our big B power chord at the 2s with the 4s, shuffle that out, bump it up 2 frets for our C sharp with the G sharp on top at the 4s and the 6s, and then just the G sharp power chord at the 4E, 6 on the A and D for the final measure there. And the lead over the top of that, come up to the high E, we get on the 4th fret here, we just kind of pick through that, shuffling through, something like that, up to a 5th fret for a few, 7th fret, shuffle it out for a handful, and then we can slide down and hit the 4 on the B and just shuffle pick through that to finish. And you can dive on like the final few strums of it. Okay, just playing around with that. And we'll get to the outro, and basically the overall progression reverts to the first one, all right, with the, starting at the 2s and 4s and then transition forward to the low forward 6th, and that first progression, all right, that's kind of the outro progression now. But the second guitar is doing various lead stuff over the top of it now. The first little bit is we come up to this on the D string, we go 6, 4G back to 6D, all right, and then we'll drop down on the B string, go 5 to 4. All right, in the first run through, take that down to 2s on the B, hit that out for about 4, lift to the opens for a few. Okay, just playing around there. Do the same initial little picking through the scale, the 6, 4, 6, 5, 4. And the alternating time, every other time, we come up high and go on the 4th fret of the high E, pick that out for a handful to a few 2s. All right, and you can just kind of alternate between those two different endings with that little riff. And after we go through that a couple times, we kind of shift it up a little bit, where we do the same kind of intro, the 6, 4, 6, go back to the 4 on the G, slide it out, and then we go to 1st fret on the D, hang out there, pick it out a few times to 2 for a few, back to the 1. So that's kind of the second lead riff happening in the outro. And then as we get to the very end, we just kind of do this big strumming build up, just alternating, between two very similar chords here, where we'll be at 6 on the D, 6 on the G, and then we do 4B, and we're just strumming this out about 8th notes. All right, and it's just kind of building, right? And we do that about 8 times, and then we just lift that 6G off to 4, keep the 4B and the 6D with it, and just strum that out the same. And just go back and forth between those two as we're finishing out the song.